Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Jason, Art of Creation Homestead, and we're going to talk to you today about a subject that is very important to Angela and I both, and should be important to every backyard chicken keeper as well. What to do with your chickens in the cold weather, how to take care of them in the coldest months. I get asked this question a lot. A lot of people I work with and things like that, they'll say, well, what do you do with your chickens when it gets cold outside? Do you bring them inside? Do you put a heater in there? No, don't do that. Don't do that. So it's very important to understand what you're doing with your chickens. I know there's a lot of new chicken keepers, a lot of people who may not understand exactly what they need to do at this time, and maybe get worried. Oh my gosh, it's cold.
My girls are cold. What am I supposed to do? My babies, they're gonna freeze to death. It's 20 degrees outside.
They'll be okay, I promise you. They can handle it. Let's just talk about this for a second. All right, let's just talk about it. We'll take you inside. There's three very important things, okay? Three very important things to remember about taking care of them in the winter, okay? So let's just, first and foremost, the reason we're coming in here is their environment. Their environment is very important, okay? As you see in here, I'm actually going to clean this up today. We're going to take out all these shavings and put in fresh. But first and foremost is make sure that their environment is dry. Okay, they need dryness. Moisture is the enemy. Okay, so we use pine shavings. We have a 10 by 10 storage shed that we've converted to a chicken coop. Okay, so it's 100 square feet, and I'll put in 4 bags of pine shavings from the farm supply store. Okay, so that's how much pine shavings we use. And if it's gonna be really cold, I very well might add a 5th bag. Okay. But other than that, that's plenty. Pine shavings absorb moisture better than straw or hay, and I think that's probably the best solution there. Don't add heat, okay? You don't need to add heat, because in reality, if they have heat added, then they get out of the heat and get back into the heat, out of the heat. That's not good for their health. It can actually create hypothermia if they're used to warm weather, and because if you have warm air, all of a sudden they don't have access to it anymore, whether it's power outage or something of that nature. That cold air can be such a shock to them, it can create hypothermia, and they don't need it anyways. A chicken's body temperature is anywhere from 104 to 107 degrees. Okay, that's their internal temperature. Plus they got the fat cap, they got all those feathers. You know, they can handle cold air. We've had our chickens here in Southwest Ohio down to -20 or so. Okay, it's been cold, and they've handled it just fine. Obviously, they don't like it. They're not as active. They huddle up more, but that's what they do. That's part of the design that God has created, is that they'll huddle up, and then they'll create heat from each other, and they can put their head in their feathers. Because when you get to a chicken's body, see if Gracie, do you want to be seen? See Gracie here. Her problem is going to be her comb, her wattles, and her feet. That's where a chicken's body heat escapes from, is comb, wattles, and feet. Okay, so what do is they're going to tuck their head into their feathers, protect their comb and their wattles, and then they'll get on this roost. Okay, which is another point about their environment. They'll get on this roost here. Okay, and they will get their feet here, and then they'll squat down and cover their feet up. So that's what you need to remember too, is that their roost is very important. Okay, their roost keeps their feet flat and allows them to squat all the way down and cover their feet. So your roost, we have 2x4s here. Your roost needs to have enough surface area that they can put their feet on it and be able to completely cover their feet. So like a round roost doesn't work as well. Okay, I prefer a larger flat surface for them to roost on. Okay. You also need protection from the wind. So we have solid wall to the west and a solid wall to the north. Okay, and we have ventilation is very key as well. Ventilation from our south and to our east, so the breeze can come through and blow through. All right, but they got protection from the coldest winds. So you need ventilation because that actually helps keep moisture out. Okay, but you also need protection from the worst winds, in which they had that as well. Okay. Also, you need to think about like their combs on their body. Okay. So let's throw that into environment, because you hear Sweetness singing, but like your chickens with the largest combs, they can like their combs can get frostbit. Okay, so we have an odd temperature we go by, 14 degrees and lower. We're going to cover their combs with Burt's Bees Farmer's Friend hand salve. Okay, and so the chickens with the largest combs, we're going to cover their combs with that hand salve, and their wattles too, because they can get frostbit if they happen to get moisture on those combs and it freezes. Okay, moisture because heat escapes from their comb and their wattles. It can create moisture on their comb and wattles no matter what. If it gets that moisture on there and it freezes, their comb and wattles are going to get frostbit, and that's a problem. It's very painful. They're not going to die from it. Okay, if they do, then you've done something really wrong. It causes a lot of pain and stress on them. So to keep them as healthy and happy as possible, we're going to cover them. Okay, and we try to use an all-natural solution. We've used different things before. You can see all kinds of stuff, but it's good to have something clear, and it's good to have something that's not water-based. Okay, so that's why we use Burt's Bees Farmer's Friend hand salve. It's got essential oils. It's not water-based. It's not petroleum-based as well, and it does a really good job protecting them. Actually, I'm not sure. We've been using that for 2 years. I don't think we've had any issues since we've been using that. We've used other things, and it's caused pecking. Another chicken will see it and peck on their combs. Vaseline, it's oil-based, and I don't like it anyways. I really, honestly, Burt's Bees hand salve, or Farmer's Friend hand salve, is the absolute best thing you can use on their combs. If you do happen to get frostbite on their combs, green goo is another thing that you can buy. It's all natural, has comfrey in it. It's very, very good as well to heal up that frostbite. We had a chicken, real quick, we had a chicken that she has larger wattles. She was drinking in water in the middle of a cold, really bad cold snap, polar vortex type deal, and she get water on her wattles. That water froze, and I wound up freezing her wattles, and so we actually use that green goo to help heal her wattles up. So that's a point to remember there. Okay, green goo as well if you have issues. But so that's also very important. Next thing is really important is their feed. How you feed them. Basic feed, obviously, keep their daily rations of feed there. But you need to think about two things. If they haven't gotten through their molt, especially if they're still trying to grow feathers, make sure you get a little extra protein to them sometimes in the form of mealworms or whatever. We do have a video about molt. We'll link that in the description below. But also what we do is we use corn. You can use whole corn or cracked corn. We use cracked corn because it's smaller. Okay. Corn does not digest in their systems appropriately. Okay. So whole corn would be really rough. We use cracked corn, and what that does is cracked corn. If we'll feed it to them in the mornings, okay, like on a really cold morning, we'll give them a little bit in the mornings, 12 ounces, we'll say. We'll throw that out there to them in the mornings on a really cold morning, not every day, but on a really cold morning. That way they'll eat it, and what that does is because their body has a hard time breaking it down, it heats their body up, and it kind of wounds them up too. Okay, they'll get a little excited and give them more energy to get them active first thing in the morning, because if they don't have something of that nature first thing in the morning, they will actually just come back and be inactive and try to stay out of the cold, which is okay, but inactivity is an enemy of chickens. You got to remember that. Chickens need to be active. So we'll do that in the mornings. On the really cold mornings, we'll do that. Maybe mix it with some sunflower seeds or some oats. And the other time we'll give it to them is if it's going to be a really cold night. We'll target them out maybe 15 or below. We'll give them some corn in the evenings. All right, and that'll help keep their body a little more active and their body processing and a little heated up overnight. That's just something we do. I'm not sure it's 100% necessary, but I do believe it's something that does help. Okay, so you gotta remember that. Just maybe all these things may not be 100% necessary, but they will help you and help your chickens really get through this. And if you care about your chickens, want them to be as healthy and happy as possible, and care about your egg production, you're gonna need to do that. Okay, and the final thing is their water. A lot of people are gonna use water, heated waters. Okay. we do not use heated waters. We're here in Southwest Ohio. We can get really, really, really stinking cold, okay? We've had, a couple years ago, we had 2 weeks, solid, straight 2 weeks of nothing above 20 degrees. 20 degrees was as high as we got for 2 weeks. It was horrible, okay? But we didn't use heated waters. Angela, my wife, is home all day. So she's able to come out and change water, in all honesty. But what we do is we have 2 waters, okay? A small 1 gallon bell-shaped water that you can get at any farm supply store outside. And we have a larger water right here behind us, okay? 3 gallons right here. Now this is actually a great water for this, okay? But that, so we have those 2 waters. That way they can have water outside, have water inside, whatever they want. But that larger water especially is wonderful in cold weather. What we'll do is we will get hot water, okay? In the coldest weather, we'll get hot water, okay? Just scalding hot water. I'm gonna fill that 3 gallon water up with hot water, okay, before we let them out. And then, because when you come out here, the hot water is gonna heat that up, okay? It's gonna heat that plastic up, and it's gonna keep your water warmer, because then once it goes through into the trough there, the cold air is gonna hit it, and if you got, you know, below 20 degrees, you're gonna have warm water coming out into the cold air. The cold air is gonna cool it down to where they can drink it, all right? And then the hot water inside that plastic is going to keep the water warm. It works great. You gotta believe me, I've done this for years. That one especially, the plastic is thick enough that it really, really, really actually keeps your water warm. Now, really, really cold weather, it's gonna freeze sometimes, okay? So you gotta check it. If you don't use a heated water, you're gonna check it. But now, heated waters may or may not work in your coldest weather, okay? That's the honest truth. I've heard people say they do, heard people say they don't. And also, if you have a heated water, you gotta have electricity to your coop. Water, electricity, shavings around your birds. I just don't think it sounds like a great idea. Run an extension cord through there. Chickens are curious. They might start pecking at the extension cord. I don't like it. I think it's a bad idea. You can do what you want. Heated waters may or may not work for everything. Okay, just plain and simple. But so if you don't use heated water, you're gonna have to check your water. Okay, and make sure it don't freeze. That's one of the biggest things. That's one of the biggest things. Make sure water don't freeze. Warm water doesn't freeze as fast, obviously, and also it does. It does help them if they get some warm water in them. The warmness will kind of get through their body and kind of warm them up a little bit. We have one chicken loves it more than others. So that's something to think about. You know, all these things, you got to remember their environment, which affects their body. Okay, their combs and their wattles and their feet. Then their feed and their water. Those are the main things. You don't give them heat. Please don't give them heat. They don't need it. It's going to hurt them in the long run. So just, you know, if you care about your chickens, hey, make sure you do those things for them, okay? We appreciate you guys watching this. Hey, do us a favor. If you like it, like the video, thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. We really appreciate you guys watching this. God bless you. Goodbye.